Prepositions. Today's lesson is about prepositions. Basically, these are those words which help establish relationship between things. It helps us connect one object to another by effective use. Let's look at some of the common prepositions. First one is on. Now in Hindi there is one word upar, but in English there are three words for it. One is on, the other one is above, and the third one is over. Now each one is different in usage, and let me explain the common usage of these words. The first one is on, which means there is contact. For example, the book is on the table, so there is clear contact between the book and the table. And it need not be that something is above a particular thing. It can also be when you are, for example, having a light on a particular wall, or the television unit is on the wall. Here also you can effectively use the preposition on simply because there is contact. Even fan and ceiling, the relationship is on. The fan is on the ceiling. As against this, the use of the word above. How is that different? While in Hindi, again, the word is upar. Okay? Above essentially means that there is no contact and there is no movement of the object. For example, the fan is above us, or the light is above us. Or if you can imagine a picture frame on the wall and an AC unit on top of it. So the AC is above the picture frame. Okay, so there you go, on and above, the difference is clear. On, above. Now there is a third one, which is over. Over essentially is something where there is no contact, okay, and there is movement, or there is a start point and an end point. Let's take the example of a tunnel. The tunnel is running over the tracks, okay, or the wire is over our heads because there is a start point and an end point. Or for that matter, the bird is flying over the river. Clearly there will be no contact and the bird will maintain a certain distance with the river, cross from one end to the other. So the bird is flying over the river. We can even think of some animal which is actually hopping over or jumping over a fence or a barrier. So take the example of a horse. The horse jumped over the fence. Okay. Similarly, so now that we have established three uses of the Hindi word upar, and the equivalent preposition for it in English is on, above, and over. Whenever we use any mode of transport, be it a car, be it a plane, or for that matter, a bike, we will end up using the preposition by. So essentially, I traveled by bike today, or I traveled by car today. Okay, so by is the preposition whenever we use any mode of transport. We can even use the preposition by when we are talking about other modes of transport like auto, or for that matter scooter. So by is for travel. An interesting one is walk. I came to office by walk today. Again, the use of the preposition by. Another interesting use of the preposition is get off, get on, and get in. Now, usually when we are trying to get into a vehicle, it could be some vehicle where we are sitting inside, and these are smaller vehicles, something like a car or an auto. Then we'll end up using the word I'm getting into, or I'm getting in the car, okay, or I got into the car, okay. As against this, if I'm talking about a bike or a scooter, basically a two-wheeler, so we don't sit inside, we are sitting on it. So I got onto the bike, okay, or I got onto the scooter. The interesting one here is the larger vehicle, something like a truck, or for that matter flight, or let's take heavy vehicles like, say, a train or bus. I got onto the bus, or I got onto the flight, okay. So there you will end up using got onto. Typically you're using something to climb and possibly get in. So you will use the preposition get on, and in case of smaller vehicles, get in. Now this is the situation, or these are the uses of prepositions when you're boarding something, okay, getting into, okay. Now similarly, when you are actually getting off the vehicle, in all situations you can use the preposition get off. So I got off the flight just 5 minutes back, or I will get off the car shortly. So here the off is OFF, okay, or I will get off the bike soon after this signal. So there you go. Get off can be used for all vehicles, but get in and get on has a specific usage which I just explained. Essentially, there are some other verbs which we can use: board and alight, okay. So I boarded the flight, or for that matter, I alighted from the flight, or I alighted from the bus, I boarded the bus. So there you have specific verbs as well, and specific prepositions which in conjunction with the verb make sense when we try to use for getting into a vehicle or getting off it. When I'm using a preposition for direction, I also can end up using along or across. Now basically, if I'm moving in the same direction as the path, then I'll say along. Imagine a river which is flowing, okay, and my boat is going in the same direction. Then essentially I can say my boat is going along the river, okay. At the same time, if I'm cutting the direction, going from one bank of the river to the other bank, then my boat is going across the river, okay. Similarly, if somebody asks you for directions, where is the bank? Now if the bank is somewhere along the same road, then you will say go along this road, to your right you will find the bank, okay. For that matter, if the bank is not in the same direction, it is on the opposite side of the road, then you will say go across the road, the bank will be on the opposite side. So basically, along and across are prepositions for direction. Along being when you're going in the same direction, and across is when you cut the direction. As far as day of the week, or for that matter month or specific dates are concerned, preposition in, on, these are often confusing. So let's get some explanation around that. If I'm talking about a specific day of the week, the preposition to use is on. I'll see you on Monday. Okay. If I'm talking about a specific month in the year, then I will use the preposition in, because that month could have multiple dates. For example, I'll see you in May, or Christmas falls in the month of December. Okay. Christmas falls in the month of December. Or for that matter, if you're talking about a specific date, then you will end up using the preposition on. For example, my birthday is on the 4th of April. Okay. So essentially, on when you're referring to a specific date, okay, in when you're talking about a month, okay, on again when you're using a day of the week, okay. And if you're talking about just the year, then you will say in. For example, I was born in, and then you can mention the year, say 1952 or 1935. You can mention the year by saying in, if you're only referring to the year. But if you're talking about the whole date essentially, then you will say on, and then you'll say 4th of April and 1952, whatever is the applicable year. Okay. So be very clear on the use of in or on as far as dates and days of the week are concerned. If we are referring to a time period during the day, then the confusion can also be about should it be in afternoon, in night. Okay, there is some confusion around that. Let's clear that out. Basically, whenever you're talking about afternoon, morning, or evening, you need to say in the morning or in the afternoon. Now, because afternoon starts with a vowel, I changed the pronunciation of the to the. In the afternoon, okay, or in the evening. But As far as night is concerned, we say at night. Okay, I'll have the party at night. Okay, or for that matter, if you're talking about aaj raat, then you will say tonight. Okay, basically the function is tonight. Okay, and if you're referring to probably the previous night, then you will say last night. Okay, not yesterday night. We will say we had the party last night. Okay, and if you're talking about aaj subah, then you're not going to say today morning. You will say this morning, or for that matter in the morning, but not today morning. Okay, so be very specific about these things. And midnight is at midnight. Okay, exactly at 12 a.m. night, that is at midnight, or exactly 12 p.m. noon is at noon. Okay, because there is a specific time associated with it. Understanding the preposition through. Through essentially means किसी चीज से गुजरना. For example, I'm going through your notes. Or let's take the example of when you're walking through something. Example, a forest. Okay, I'm going through the forest at the moment, or the vehicle is going through the forest. Or when you travel on expressway, we have tunnels. So the vehicles have to transit through, or they have to travel through several tunnels. Okay, so through is a preposition, kisi cheez se guzarna. It can also refer to a time period in life. For example, I went through a rough patch, or Raj is going through a difficult phase in his life. Okay, or something which indicates a period of time. There also through can be aptly used. To is for direction or location, and for is for purpose. Okay, so Hindi में जो word है के लिए, that is for, as in I went to the mall for shopping. So purpose here was shopping, so for, and the direction or the location is the mall. That's why I went to the mall. Okay, now one common error which I've heard people make is that they end up using the preposition to before the word home. You don't have to do that. You just have to say I went home. Okay, or please come home. Okay, or I have already gone home. Okay, so you don't need to say I have already gone to home, or please come to home. Okay, so to will not be used before the word home. With this, we have touched upon all the elementary prepositions. However, the spectrum of prepositions is quite wide. Even in the basics, we can cover a lot more. So in the lessons to come, I'll share more inputs, but get your facts right with these basics, and do feel free to comment in the comment section with your inputs.